Magic dentro, Rafa. Gol! Ebram! Gol! È l'azione più bella del mondo! È l'azione più bella!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, back after a week absence, joined once again by Anthony, the GOAT, Torgrud.
That's me, the GOAT.
And Madison, El Nino, Darian Toth.
Interesting. AJ, I wanted to apologize that you and Taylor suffered a defeat last night. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we'll survive. We'll get through this together. We'll come back stronger, better than ever.
It'd be good ammunition for another album, I reckon. All about like competitive heartbreak and all that. So we're getting a tour next
she's
year.
just single, you know. She might.
Yeah, maybe.
She might leave.
I saw something about like how he was going to propose if he won.
I think I saw that too. I don't know. Yeah,
probably BS and just someone guessing like he might do something special if they won.
Could be why they looked so nervous the entire game and couldn't complete a pass.
You see,
they look awful.
She was getting booed while on screen, and she just turned. What the hell's going on?
Game hadn't even started yet. She's like, I just sat down.
Which is funny because she just made like $10 billion touring for 2 years. So like a stadium of 70,000 people can think they're cool by booing her, but she made a shit ton of money.
She had the loudest boos in the whole stadium. There was another guest there that everyone thought was another man. Boos. Yeah, there were no boos.
Yeah. I saw something saying that.
This is
not private. Let's swerve it. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about in proper football. We've got 2 games to recap, 2 games to preview, a couple of wins as well. So you could say that I have brought good luck or Isaac brought good luck last week, depending on which way you look at it. But he was on last week, filled in for me. Thank you 2 boys eternally for going without me. I was struck down by something that is still got me a little bit, so I might be a tad ropey on this episode. AJ's already said that I've got a camp voice as a result of it, but I'm going to proceed regardless, and I'm going to try my best to read through the list of the Substat founding members in one go. Des Windsor McGlynn, Tito Mack, Moritz Pullman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ, Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Jack, Carlo Fassi, Nasser, Merlin Finker, Derek Favretto, Heavenly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Tarek Marco Valleja. How am I meant to say that again? Did he say Villela? Villela. Right.
Quad L's. Yeah.
I am adding another L in now, Marcus. You've got 4 L's now, brother. That's enough. Roberto Racinos, Ken, and Medicare. There's the list of Substat founding members. Thank you for all of the support that you show us over on the Substat over the past week. And a reminder, you can go over there and try a week for free if you want to see what it's all about. The most recent pub chat that Lorenzo and Stefano did was an ode to Davide Calabria about his departure, more specifically, after 18 years at the club, coming through the youth ranks, basically a summary of his career, but also diving into whether it was the right move to let him go and if the club handled that right. Because obviously there's been a bit of debate about whether they did things in the right way, just like with the Fonseca sacking. It was all very sudden. So they talked through that. Our bonus podcast, we did player profiles on Warren Bondo, Ricardo Sotil, and Joao Felix. Is that right? Yeah. We only did it on Friday and I've forgotten. But yeah, that was the bonus. We went into each of those signings, what they're going to bring, bit of a player background, player profile, talking about the operations, and we gave each signing a rating. Isaac's newsletter was called A New Beginning. It was about the chaotic end to the January transfer window and how all of the operations came to fruition. And as part of that, there's the news bulletin that summarizes all of the latest updates over the past week if you can't keep up to date with the site on an everyday basis. And then Isaac also did a financial breakdown of Milan's 2025 winter transfer window. So each of the arrivals, how much they're going to cost on the accounts, and how much money we've freed up with the departures, where we are overall as a result. I would definitely recommend going and reading that because it basically explains how we could afford to do the business that we did. And it wasn't a reckless financial gamble, as some rivals have been sort of saying. Vamos, let's go into the Roma review. So, Coppa Italia quarter-final. This is one of those strange ones where the bracket has lined up in such a way that both teams are looking at a potential derby in the semi-final because the other quarter is Lazio-Inter. So it could have been a Roma-Lazio semi, or it could still be a Milan-Inter semi-final. And we got the job done in this one with a 3-1 win. Roma have been a bit of a basket case this season. They're on their third head coach. The results have not been good. They're still in and around the mid-table point. But ultimately they have been better under Ranieri. Yeah.
Who am I missing?
Who did they start the season with? De Rossi, of course, who they extended, and then they got.
That's right.
They got Juric in, and that was a disaster. He's now at Southampton, and then they brought Ranieri in, the stabilizer, and they've been better under him, to be honest. Like not like table at ridiculous pace or anything, but they have got through in the Europa League. They're winning games, and prior to playing us in all comps, they'd lost 1 in 10. And the game before they played us, they drew 1-1 with Napoli, who were obviously the league leaders, and they battled from behind to get a point against them. So there's more to Roma than there perhaps was even when we played them in December, which led to Fonseca getting sacked. So I have to be honest, I was a little worried about this. I did think we'd win, but I thought that we'd give up chances against because Ranieri's basically just gone, have fun. I'm only here till the end of the season, then I'm going to become a director. So you guys go out there and have fun. And I worry when we play teams like that because obviously they've got attacking firepower. Was a little bit surprised they didn't start Dovbyk and they went with Shomurdov up front with Dybala. But they caused us some problems. Salamanca's on one wing-back position and Angelino on another in particular. Struggled a bit with them. But overall, I thought this was a pretty professional and competent display. And we got a little bit of a flourish at the end with the new signings coming on and looking pretty good. But this was a Tammy show in the first half.
And I don't think many people expected him to start, actually. I think going into it, a lot of people thought it was just going to be the new boys from minute one. And then right before kickoff, we find out Leao's ankle is kind of troubling him a little bit, so he wasn't going to start either. And then all of a sudden, we're looking at a pretty poor lineup going into this game. Musa in midfield, Jimenez as right wing, Pulisic moved to the left. He's obviously done that plenty of times. He's good. And then Tammy up top, which, made sense because if it's not going to be Santiago, we don't have anyone else anymore. But a lot of question marks around him this season for reasons everyone knows after watching games this year. And he looked like a man possessed. When you have that competition, when you're brought in the summer, and then you're not having the best first half of the season, and the club you're at brings in a younger striker for a lot higher value. You're basically halfway out the door and you got to do something. And it showed. Tammy knew exactly what he had to do. He got in there and quick early brace. I don't have the minutes in front of me here. 17th and 43rd. And, Teo had the assist on both of them. So it really was the Teo Tammy show. Teo looked like another guy who is finding his best because of the competition that's come in. Obviously, Kyle Walker's playing on the opposite flank, but I think just having another fullback of that caliber has made him go, okay, I need to show that I am one of the best fullbacks in the world still and get my shit together. Because when you're Teo Hernandez and you have no backup, you're going to play regardless of how bad your performances are. Yeah. And when the other person on the opposite flank is Emerson Royale, all your mistakes really get covered because everyone's focusing on him. So then you get a guy like Kyle Walker, who everyone's saying, oh, yeah, no, this is the real best fullback in the world. He's the best. Even though he's 35, he's still better than you, Teo. And Teo's like, yo, let me get back to my best here. And so he did. We came out team possessed and 2-0 at halftime. It's simple as that.
Yeah, we did the majority of the work in the first half. And I think the Teo point is interesting because, he's only started 3 games, Kyle Walker, since he arrived. And the first one was the derby. Then obviously you've got this, and then you've got the Empoli game we're going to come on to. But I think there's something quite tactically obvious with what's happened in the sense that Walker is almost playing as a third centre-back. And that has then allowed Teo to do what what we've seen him do before, push wide up the left flank or drift into midfield. We've seen more of those diagonal central runs. We've seen more of the overlapping. That's what led to the first goal for Tammy in this with the stand-up cross that beautiful header that, by the way. I think that's kind of gone under the radar. Tammy leaping into the air and boof, back across goal, nestled inside the far corner. But yeah, basically it's allowed Kyle to slot in, Tomori to almost play middle centre back, Pavlovic to kind of play how he does for the Serbian national team, left centre back covering quite a big area. Teo can get forward. Fofana sometimes dropping in to be like an added playmaker, and it looks better. It certainly looks better at the back. And we're saying that, we've still only had one clean sheet in the league under Conceição and 2 in general. So it's not like we're keeping goals out regularly. We still conceded in this game, and you could argue it was some inattention on the left side that allowed Dovbyk to get in there, but I think it was a bit of a freak deflection as well. However, you just need to see positive changes happening. You need to see us look a bit harder to beat, and I would say that has happened since Kyle Walker came into the team. And I think his level can only go up from here as he builds understanding with teammates and stuff like that. What was I going to say? The second... Oh, go on.
Real quick, I just want to mention, because you did mention that we haven't had many clean sheets under Conceição, and obviously that is the truth, but one of the improvements that I'm seeing is we're finally scoring first. Where not everything's a come from behind. The last 3 games, we've taken the first goal, and obviously won the last 2, drew the match against Inter, and I believe did Zagreb score before us, or did we? Yes, they did.
Zagreb took the lead. Yeah.
Okay. So the last 3, which was nice, because before it was, everyone made the joke like, oh, Conceição's plan is to just concede early and then come back. Obviously that's never the plan, but it's nice to see that we're finally.
I don't know if anyone wants that plan.
Yeah, exactly. It's just nice to see that we're getting that goal early now. I say early. Took us the second half against Empoli, but getting it first and moving ahead from there.
Yeah.
I don't think that Empoli game started till after halftime, so it's fine.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, it isn't sustainable to keep coming from behind, so I am quite glad that we seem to be shifting the balance a little bit. As I say, one goal conceded in the 2 games that we're talking about in this particular episode, 2 in 3. Holding Inter to 1 is something that not many teams will do. Fiorentina held them to 0, but that was a pretty bad night for Inter, and they play each other again tonight or tomorrow, whenever it is. So tonight. That in itself is a little bit weird. Quirks of the calendar. Second goal. So said first goal, brilliant header by Tammy. Proper striker's header, like old school centre forwards header back across goal. Something like Mark Haitley would have scored back in the day. Second goal was really, really well worked. We played out of a press, probably the best I've seen in this particular instance under Conceição. Move was worked down the right pretty nicely. Jimenez and Musa involved. Then Musa takes out 5 players with 1 pass. Really nice. Hang on to the ball, wait a minute, invite them in, and then spread it wide over to Teo, who has acres of space to then gallop into, feeds it through to Tammy. And I've always said about Tammy Abraham, I think he's better when he's got less time to think about what he's trying to do. So in the header case, it's just a first-time shot, really, or first-time header. Then in this one, it's like the ball comes through to him, takes a touch to steady himself, lets the shot go. It's not like he's got 30 yards to run through on goal and he's thinking, am I going to try go around the keeper? Am I going low? Am I dinking it over him? He just gets the ball out of his feet and scores with a lovely finish. So that was a positive. We, as you kind of mentioned, we saw that maybe the competition can drive the levels up in that sense. And I thought it was a pretty good statement of Jimenez this, Jimenez that, I'm still here. And it's funny because he was playing against Roma. Obviously, one of those strange scenarios where you score against your parent club, so you've got a message to send in that sense. Maybe wanting to outshine Salamanca's, because there's been a lot of talk about how good he's been recently. But also the similarities with the situation that Tammy was in at Roma when he was the big addition, and then they decided, maybe you're not good enough anymore. Let's spend money on Artem Dovbyk. Now he's here at Milan. Yeah, and now he's here at Milan. And, Morata leaves, so he's thinking, oh, brilliant, I'm the starting number 9 now. Then we go and spend money on a centre forward. So he's maybe like sick of this happening where no matter what he does, he can't be the starter anymore.
Yeah, and I do feel bad for him because I thought he should have been the starting striker the day he was announced. I think his first game that he did start as a striker was the Derby. I could be wrong, week 4. And obviously looked great. We won that game. I don't think he scored in it. Maybe he did. No. Okay. It was obviously just the
Pulisic and Gabbia.
That's right. Yeah, Gabbia hit her 93rd minute.
But he was good. Him and
Yeah,
Morata
he
looked really
was.
good
They looked
together in
really good in that, and we thought, okay, maybe this is the formation. This is how we play them both, and then we just never did. And I feel like Tammy's kind of been hard done this season because when you're coming in the situation that he has, and then all of a sudden you're forced to be an off the bench player, the amount of time you have to make an impact becomes much less, right? You're missing half the game, if not 2/3 of it. Um, then you get in your head, like you said, you start overthinking it. You're thinking, I need to make an impact in any way I can. What's the most clever way to do this? Take this shot, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens is you miss. You take an extra touch, you take a heavy touch, you make a pass you shouldn't have, you take a shot you shouldn't have. And it just started to snowball. And once you're on that trajectory, it's really hard to get off of it. So it's nice that he did get the start and was able to settle in from minute one. And look, this isn't his first start since that, he has had some bad starts, but I do still think there's a striker there, and I would still like to see him with us next season. Yeah, I just feel like he got hard thumb, and unfortunately, he's not going to be starting the rest of the season over Santiago, and we'll get to his performances pretty soon here. Unless we want to jump to that now, or do you guys have more on the first half?
No, nothing more to say on the first half, but I just
Yeah.
think that, like, as has kind of been mentioned, I thought it was nice to be in a situation where we could manage the game after just 45 minutes. We've not been in that position anywhere near often enough this season. The problem being that a few minutes into the second half, the game was reopened again. I wasn't surprised that they threw Dovbyk on. I thought, that it was all they could really do to try and change and be more direct, put more service into the box. And quite literally, the first cross that Angelino winds up takes a big stinking deflection off Kyle Walker and lands perfectly to Dovbyk at the far post. I mean, there's an element of luck involved in that game from that goal from a Roma point of view, an element of misfortune on ours too. But I still think that you can, maybe Walker can block the cross properly. And then you definitely have to keep tabs on their only threat from crosses at the far post. So that was a bit disappointing to concede in that moment, because then you're thinking, are we going to unravel here?
And credit to Roma, they did make a triple sub at halftime. They were going to go for it, So they were looking for it. Obviously, didn't work out, thank God. But I like to see that they didn't just sit back and give up. You see that from some teams.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I think I was speaking to somebody who I used to work with, who's a Roma fan, and he was saying that the whole thing was a bit of a shame to go out in the way that they did because this is Ranieri's last season as a coach, and it was probably the most realistic target for a trophy, for him to go out with. And ultimately they've fallen the first major test that they've faced. But I also have to give credit to Roma because just in general, not just with the subs, they came and had a go. A lot of teams, I think, in that situation, teams that are lower than us in the standings and they have to come to San Siro for a cup quarter final, where there's no extra time, it goes straight to penalties. If it's tied at the end of the 90, they might just play for penalties. Put men behind the ball, try frustrate us as other teams have done, and just try their luck with a penalty shootout. Roma didn't. They just went for it from minute one. They created some good chances in the first half, and in the second half, they threw everything at it, and ultimately what that left was space at the back that we were able to exploit with the substitutes. And I've got them here: Jimenez, Joao, Felix coming on the hour mark for Tammy and Pulisic, and then you've got Leao coming on 70 minutes for Alejandro Jimenez. So there we get to see Jimenez, Felix, Leao up top, and we got a little glimpse straight away of what beautiful. It can be. Jimenez nearly had an assist for the other Jimenez. How are we going to differentiate them? Is it going to be Santi and Alex?
I'm going to call them Jimenez and Jimenez.
That's pretty good.
The good one and the bad one?
Yeah.
J. Menez being Jeremy Menez.
It's going to be Santiago in the... Never mind. Yeah, the guy, I don't know. Santiago is how I'm going to refer to him, Santi.
Yeah. That was a nice through ball, but unfortunately the Alex had strayed a couple of yards offside. So nice finish, but the goal got called back. But I think that was like an indication of what was to come in the sense that Jimenez the striker Jimenez, with his smart movement, had started dropping in and then inviting the runs in behind. And then that's when we saw him set up Joao Felix for a goal on debut that was taken absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, it looked like he was almost assuming he was offside because he receives the ball and kind of looks to the sideline before he takes a step forward. Like, am I off? I think I might be off, And I thought he was too. In fact, it wasn't even until the second replay that I was like, oh, he's on. Like, I was confused when it went in. I did predict that we would have 3 goals, and I did predict a Joao Felix goal. I said Santi would have the others. That was before we knew he wasn't going to start, but he did get an assist. So happy to see that. Yeah, it was great goal. Great goal. He tried it again in Empoli and didn't work, but
Yeah.
No,
I
thought it was offsides, 100%.
Yeah,
just wide open, but tapped it in. Well,
and speaking of offside, that's one thing that we've really drilled in under Conceição is this offside trap that we're doing, and I think with Kyle Walker, it has worked 9 times out of 10 compared to in the past when we had Emerson who was keeping everyone on side. I think that's going to help us with those clean sheets going forward because our back line in this game, Pavlovic and Tomori, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I mean, it looks so good. And the offside trap, we're catching everyone on it. And I think that's why we're doing so well against Inter this season. Obviously, first game was Fonseca, but in the Super Cup, and then, of course, Chukwueze, a guy who is a bench player who isn't a part of the offside trap, was the one who kept them on side while everyone else did cut back, which, as you know, when one person isn't following the plan of an offside trap and the others do, you just create a shit ton of space. So that's what happened there.
Right.
But going forward, I think we're going to really be a tough team to score against because it's so well drilled.
Well, and you can finally see his tactics start to take shape, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we have improved in terms of performance level. Like, it's still far from perfect, and I think we're not playing close. We're not playing close to a perfect 90 minutes, but there are positive steps, and I think that's important because we've heard a lot about man management. We've heard a lot about mentality. Trying to drill things into the players on the psychological aspect rather than working purely on tactics, on shape, on formation. But the offside line, playing such a high line, I should say, is one of the things that you can tangibly see that he's drilled in, particularly since the arrival of Kyle Walker. And I think in playing that line higher as well, it compacts the departments closer to each other. And he's always gone on about how there should be 25, 30 metres max between the defensive line and the furthest player forward, because then you're harder to play through as a unit. And I think we're getting there with that. But you sort of need a string of clean sheets to then be like, yes, we've nailed it. You look at Inter's ridiculous defensive record in the Champions League, for example, and think, yeah, that's a team that's perfected the mechanisms of it. And we're not there yet, but there does need to be an acknowledgement too that I think he's on about 12 normal training sessions with the team since he arrived. They're either pre-game day or post-game day, which are different from a normal session. So it was always going to be a little bit slow on that front.
Yeah, it's absolutely been baptism by fire for Conceição.
Oh yeah,
just about as many games as training sessions at this point.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, people were like, it got pointed out that if we'd have sacked Fonseca after the Verona game versus after the Roma game, he would have had 9 days with the team, or maybe it'd have been 7 or 8 once you factored in the formalities and stuff that need to occur. But basically an uninterrupted week of training with the team before going into that Roma game to end the year. And instead it's just like, here you go, here's a game every 3 days, good luck. And we don't even have a break because we're now in the Champions League playoffs too. So it's just doing work as and when he can. And that's why I think it's going to be baby steps rather than seeing this monumental jump forward. Man of the match then in this one for me will be Tammy. I'll give it to Tammy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the only proper alternative is Teo for the double assist. But I'm giving it to Tammy because I just don't think we're going to see him start for a while. And, he deserves some flowers.
I agree.
Yeah, flop's a tough one. I can't say that. I thought that as a team, they all did their jobs pretty well. I might abstain. I I can't really think of anybody that struggled.
I'm gonna catch some hate for this, but I'm gonna go with my boy Christian. I
Me
think
too.
he could have done a lot better. I just think he was the most ineffective of the bunch. You think too. Obviously, Tammy had a double goal. Santiago had an assist. Joao Felix had a goal. I thought Rafa came on and looked really strong for his 20 minutes. Obviously, not incredible. I thought Jimenez was energetic, and I thought Pulisic kind of ghosted a little bit. I don't think it was terrible, but
No,
we
but
hold
he
him
was
to
on
a
the
higher
left side
standard.
too. He's not used to playing on that side.
And I think that
But
showed a little bit.
Yeah, I do agree that should be playing to a higher standard, especially if we get 3 goals and he doesn't get an assist or a goal for any of it. That's not a good game for him. So,
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I was looking at what the papers said, and Tutor Sport gave Maignan a 5.5, Kyle Walker a 5.5, Reinders a 5.5, and it's like, wow, that's harsh. That feels pretty harsh to me.
For a 3-1 win.
Reinders was pretty quiet, so maybe I would say him. But it's like with Pulisic, we're judging on high standards, right? So, but yeah, it feels a bit harsh. Nobody had a stinker.
Mike had
even with
4
the goal.
saves inside the box, 2 diving saves, 1 high claim, 12 recoveries.
I think it's
I thought he'd
probably
be great.
only because of the Shomorodov shot that was kind of straight at him, and he flapped it, and thankfully it looped onto the roof of the net. But come on, like,
But a 5-5?
he said he kept it out, didn't he?
Yeah, he said that's a save. That's his one job is to save.
And he did. He did his job.
That's
Right, let's
wild.
move on, shall we? Empoli
Yeah.
away. I thought for the longest time that we were at home in this game. But yeah, we've already played them at home. And Morata scored in that, so pigs can fly. Oh, you see, Morata scored on his debut for Galatasaray against some lower league
third
team.
division team. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second game he was part of got abandoned because some fans kicked off. Yeah, he had a wild start, I think. So yeah, this one, Empoli relegation battlers, but we know how these go. Our record against Empoli is still ridiculously one-sided. They've never beaten us at home in Serie A, which is kind of a remarkable stat. There's not a huge amount of meetings, but still, we've normally dropped at least 1 or 2 games to these kind of teams. I mean, look at Sassuolo when they come up. Nobody really knew much about them. They quickly
we don't need to mention them.
Boys. Yeah, they're gone. They're coming back up, but whatever. And first 45 minutes in this were a tough watch. I'm not going to lie. Made some changes to the starting lineup. We knew Leao and Pulisic were not at their best, so he chose to rest them for Alex Jimenez and Yunus Musa playing the flanks. And then he started Joao Felix, so his first start, his full debut, if you like, was alongside Tammy Abraham, who couldn't really replace after his brace against Roma. Then Reinders and Fofana as the central midfield pairing, and there were some reports in the build up to the game that he was going to change the centre back pairing to Chao Gabbia, but he didn't. He just kept the back 4 as is, and I like that because we like to see some cohesion building, and we got a clean sheet out of it. So it
ironic
worked.
Because we got a red card.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, that first half was such a rough watch. So I was texting a buddy during it because he was watching the game. I didn't ask him to. He just decided to throw on a Milan game, see what we were about this season. And he messaged towards the end of the first half, and he said, "Are you guys resting your starters?" That was a polite way of saying, "What the fuck is this shit?" And so I said, "Yeah, we are." And then at halftime, my exact message was, "Hope we bring on some good players for the second half. I'm ready for a nap after that first 45." Because I that was the nicest way I could put it. I despised this performance from Jimenez. This was the most anger I've ever felt towards him.
Alex, to be clear.
Correct. Yes, Alex Jimenez. He was just a busy idiot this whole game. And I know it's one thing that Milan fans love is that high energy, pushing for everything, the pressure. And I agree. I'm with that. My problem is Jimenez wasn't doing anything but that. He was just kind of running around, a lot of frantic energy. It didn't look like he knew what he was doing. He was just every moment on the ball. It seemed like it was the 93rd minute and we're down a goal or something,
Yeah.
which sometimes is nice. But when it's just you're running through someone, you're fouling. I mean, he legitimately has more yellow cards than goals or assists this season, and he's played a lot of games. That's not good. Now, granted, a lot of them been on defense, so what give him a pass. He's also played like 8 different positions, so again, give him a pass. And overall, I do like the kid. I just thought this performance was so frustrating to watch because he's a very selfish player, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Today it was bad. He would cut off other players. There was a moment when he shouldered out Kyle Walker to get in front of him for a ball that Kyle Walker was chasing, just to take it. And you see Kyle Walker like, what the fuck, man? There was another moment where I believe it was Fofana was about to receive a pass from Teo when Teo was under pressure, and it was a pass cutting through the lines. And Alex Jimenez sprints in, intercepts the pass, and because he jumped in, it was a heavy touch that led to a shot on target for Empoli. And I'm just thinking, what is this kid doing? I know you want to be that guy. You want to make a name for yourself. You want to get your first goal. I get all that. I love all that, and I hope you do. But use your head. Be smart. And it was just driving me crazy. So when he got yoinked at halftime, I celebrated. He needed that. He needed to come off. Tammy, for everything great we just said about him, woo, this is why we got Santiago.
He had Musa and Alex on the wings to support him.
Yes.
Which that's not exactly the best. Like Musa played a full 90, I think. And like he had his moments of brilliance, but like he should not be on the wing if Alex is going to be on the other side. Plain simple. Because like he's not going to be your creative winger. He's basically there to cover for the right back, which he doesn't exactly need to be doing anymore. So
yeah. I think it's a strange, I think it's just a strange quirk of the timing in the sense that, Jimenez, Santiago Jimenez just arrived, had a little bit of a problem from the previous game, so wasn't right to start against Roma. We chose not to risk him against Empoli too. Then you've got Leao and Pulisic carrying knocks. There shouldn't be another situation where you're having to rest all 3 of those from minute 1. And that's why you end up with Alex Jimenez and Musa on the wings. But you are effectively just saying we're not going to score while they're on the pitch, because unfortunately there was a complete lack of service from the wings. I agree with everything you said about Alex Jimenez there. I think toddler on Haribo's would be the best way to describe it. Like, he just had a big sugar rush and started sprinting about the gaff. And look, admire the energy, as you mentioned, but when it came to the end product, he just needed to pick his head up a little bit more. There's definitely something there with him. Like, we've seen it. We've seen it countless times now where, he gets into these positions in the final third where he's weaved in and out, and like he's created the space for himself. And I think that in itself is a positive, but just the decision making, and maybe that's where him being a natural fullback comes into it rather than a winger. He played his entire youth career at Real Madrid as a fullback, and now we're asking him to play a bit further forward, and we're surprised that he's not getting a goal and assist every game. However,
we should point out that he's only 19. He's
right,
half a decade, if not more, away from his prime, and the fact that he is able to start games for Milan at this age is impressive.
And also I think
we don't have any other choice.
Well, there's that, but it's part of his master plan too, because if he plays too well, then Real Madrid are just going to use that buyback. So we need him to be good up to a point, and then just a little bit shit, so we don't lose him in the summer. And then, the changes at halftime made a lot of sense for me. I must admit, I was a little bit surprised that he did the triple sub at halftime. I thought he might bring 1 or 2 of them on at once, and then if it's still not working, 60 minutes, you can change again. But he just said, nope, fuck this. This is not working. We are not wasting another 15, 20 minutes to wait and see. And I think that he deserves praise for the bravery of... it's not like tactical bravery, because if we were all in that exact position at that moment, you'd turn around and look in the dugout and be like, there's those 3 guys there who could make a big difference. Just chuck them all on. It's not like... coaching 101, just get the guys out there that can make a difference. But
you're looking at the pitch thinking none of these guys are going to get a goal. And then, like you said, you turn around, you'll get your dugout. You got your top goal scorer, your top assister, your star boy player, and the new shiny striker you just bought for 40 million euros. You're using that,
get them on the field.
And Conceição has said since day one, the only thing that matters is winning. So are you really believing that philosophy if you don't triple sub? I think it was the right thing to do. Obviously it was, right? We won 2-0, but it seemed to be the only option for us, especially when Jimenez had the stinker that he did. Alex, that is obviously. So he gets yoinked at halftime. Tammy Abraham not doing too hot either. He's got to come off at halftime. And I thought Fofana was definitely not halftime sub bad.
No.
But I was kind of shocked to see him
Wasn't
come
good, though.
off. Yeah, but he definitely wasn't good. And obviously in hindsight, it worked out great. I don't know who came off for who. I would imagine Pulisic came on for Fofana because then Musa moves into the midfield. So
Yeah.
and by that logic, it was the best sub of the bunch because he had the double assist for this game.
Yeah.
But as soon as they made the assist, I mean, I'm trying to think. Oh, well, before any goals came on, actually, we should probably talk about the red card.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, before this, let's talk about the
Mm.
first fuck up that Luca Piretto made, which was in minute 6 when Kakache, I think that's how you pronounce it,
Something like that.
when studs into Kyle Walker's ankle, and not even a yellow card given on the field. VAR did take a look at it. We got the check in progress thing on the TV broadcast, and the clip showing like the behind the scenes of it. I can't even remember who the VAR guy was now, and I covered it earlier. But whoever the VAR chief was, Sarah, maybe you can hear the audio of him talking through the decision with the referee Piretto on the field, and he's saying that there wasn't too much intensity in the tackle, is what his exact words were. Now, there's nothing in the rules that mentions intensity or anything like that. It was just straight up endangering an opponent. He
Right.
goes studs planted, late, the ball's gone. And honestly, if that is if that's slightly higher up or with a slight amount more force, it's a potential leg/ankle breaker. That is very dangerous to go studs planted like that into somebody. I'm just thankful that Walker wasn't more hurt from it. I really worried for him after that. People are saying you can't look at the still images, and I've often been in favour of them not looking at still images for VAR reviews and not looking at slow motion, judging tackles force based on real-time replays. No matter what way you look at that, it's a shocker.
Yeah.
It's a really, really bad decision. And I do wonder if it had been in the second half. Was it the fact that it was minute 6 of the game, that they didn't want to make a game-defining decision that early on? I think that's part of it. But if you want to know what the AIA, Italian Referees Association, have come out and backed it up, saying this is why it wasn't given. Piretto's been suspended for 1 game. Mate, that makes sense. He was right, but
he had much other bigger errors in the game,
there was
right?
quite a few issues. I mean, not giving a red card that should be a red card is only like game changing if the player who should have been sent off scores a goal, right? So I could see it being like, okay, this was a big mistake, but it's not game changing. It obviously sending the player off changes the game, right? But keeping him on, it just kind of, you get benefit of the doubt a little bit. Fast forward to minute 55. Now we should say that Tomori's first yellow card, legitimate. And I think this yellow card as well is a legitimate yellow card offense.
Yeah.
The issue is the player was offside already. And you posted a still frame of it. He's offside by about 2 yards in the picture you posted, which was, I think.
Oh, are we jumping up to the Tomori thing?
Yeah.
It was like one frame after the ball had been kicked. I think you got it.
Yeah,
It was not 2 yards off. I
did
did see someone else post a frame when the ball was kicked after that. And it was a lot closer with Kyle Walker, of all people, actually. But still offside. Like, you could visibly tell he's offside. Even without lines drawn, without anything, it's like, okay, he's here, so he's offside, and people are saying the linesman didn't flag for offside. He flagged for a foul, which may be true, but I'm gonna go with my conspiracy theory and say he, straight up offside, and you see Piretto staring right at him, blow the whistle, yellow card, red card. So why is it not overturned? Why is it not reviewed? Well, you can't review an offside unless there's a goal scored, because there was none. So the offside you can't review, and you can't review the red card because it was a double yellow. You can only review straight red card. So now how do we address this as the refereeing association? Well, you should be allowed to review a second yellow for a red card because
it
it's
should
still
be
a
anything
red
that
card.
leads to a red.
Yeah, but if if you review the second yellow for a red in this situation, they're going to be looking at the tackle itself. They're not going to be looking at the offsides.
No,
So in this
that's why
specific situation, they need to be able to review the entire thing, right? Because was the tackle worth a yellow card? 100% in my mind, yes.
Yeah.
But the player was offside, so that should negate the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if they can review that yellow card, does not mean that they're like, oh, he was offside. It's oops. No, because they're reviewing the tackle itself, not the
And
offsides.
I think that's where, I guess, and to your point, we got to bring a little bit of common sense into it, right? Like, yeah, it's a yellow card, and yes, you'd be reviewing that yellow card in these adjusted rules we're coming up with, but you take a look at the whole play in general and say, the whole thing was null and void.
Right.
You should be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to look at it and go, he was offside, but we can't touch that. So here's a game-changing wrong decision that we're going to back. We're going to get behind and uphold. And that's wrong.
I
He
think
got
you just
suspended
have
for a
to.
game. So, well, not suspended. He got what?
Yeah, he got demoted. I mean,
Demoted,
I think
right?
it's a suspension.
was it? Okay,
so he'll have to
better.
sit out a round. Yeah. Normally they send them to Serie B for a week, so you can work on your
Because
crafting.
it's
And even
okay to
harder.
make mistakes there.
You get to work on your refereeing in an even harder league to referee than Serie A, but whatever. I think that, like, to the point of, if you're going to review red card offences, I think you just have to ring fence the tackle itself and say that whatever, we're just checking the offside here.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying that we're going to go with the referee's on-field decision with the tackle itself. What we need to verify here is if he was offside, and they do actually do this in penalty checks and things like that. They say the penalty's standing no matter what. We just need to see if there was an offside in the build-up, and they do it for one thing they can do it for, which is the paradox of the whole thing, is for straight red cards. So you've seen straight red cards for last man challenges called back because the player that got tackled was offside. They can't do it because it was a second yellow. So it's just fallen into the really strange corridor of where nobody can do anything to overturn it. And it feels like a bit of a joke. And one thing I might say that's like perhaps a counter argument to the whole thing is, like, you play to the whistle as a player, and no matter if the whistle had gone for offside, let's say, so he's blown, and it's blown a fraction after Tomori has made that challenge, it's still a bad tackle, So maybe they actually don't do anything about it. They just say, you were late.
Yeah,
you were late to it.
The irony is, if it was a worse tackle, he wouldn't have been sent off, right? If he'd have gotten a straight red card, they would have reviewed it and been like, he's good.
Yeah.
But you never want to make the worst challenge. So it's just one of those all around shitty situations. And you could almost argue that it should have been a straight red, because I think he kind of was the last defender. Obviously, Walker was on the far side, but
yeah, I was wondering if the ref should just do that. If the ref has the presence of mind to be like, yeah, I'm going over with a straight red, because then I need you to check the offside. I'm going to say this was last man, and then. But they can't actually give a straight red for that anymore either, because they'll say that he made a legitimate play for the ball. So it's all a bit confusing, all a bit of a joke. This is the thing, is that, like, I've seen, fans of other clubs having a pop at us saying that we're whining and all that, and it got evened up a few minutes later. Not evened up, but parity in numbers was restored a few minutes later. But it isn't like we're not arguing with the decision itself, because that was a tackle that was worthy of a second yellow card. We're arguing with the process and with the regulations, and when you couple that in with the Kyle Walker incident about referees needing help, like, he was kind of hung out there to dry a little bit, because, as you said, he looks over at the linesman and he's almost sort of insinuating, is he good? Is he onside? Yeah, I'm going to give the second yellow card then, because you've not told me to do anything else. The linesman, if you look, I'm not going to show it on screen because I think it'll be a bit blurry, but if you look at the moment where the ball is released, he's nowhere near in line with Colombo. He's about 3 or 4 yards past him. So he's obviously anticipating play carrying on, and then he'll need to catch up to it. But it means that it skews his perception of the offside line. He's looking back at it that way, and maybe that's where he sees Walker in a line and he's thinking, yeah, he's just onside there, or it's too close for me to call. And then the way it played out was obviously very frustrating for us. Bit gutted for Tomori because we'll now have to make a change to a rearguard that had been working pretty well. But coming back to the Conceição bold moves thing, I thought that he did well to resist the temptation to throw a centre back straight out there. He just had a little bit of a reshuffle by tucking Walker inside and bringing Moose around to the right, basically bolstering the midfield in that way.
And I loved his comments after the match too, that he said, I resisted basically what he said. I resisted the temptation to pull off an attacker for a defender because a draw at Milan is as good as a loss. And he's right. You need to win. So
he said, "Fuck it," and I like that.
Yeah,
basically.
I do too.
And then another thing I really like too. Santiago Jimenez obviously come off the bench at halftime. He's just seen Tomori, his new teammate, get hard done by a little bit. A refereeing decision. He says, "Don't worry, lads, I'll get this evened up." And he goes up with Marianucci for a header, and I'm just trying to sort of, but he's doing that. He's got a hand in the throat of the defender as he goes up for it, and I can say as a centre back, I wouldn't be happy with that. He's done something there to wind him up.
I can assure you, as a U.S. men's national team fan playing the Mexican national team, I hate it because they do that shit all the time.
Yeah, man,
it's underneath my skin. I'll tell you what, when they do it for Milan and it works, do it every time, baby. Do it every time.
It's striker stuff, man. I love it. Like the play is so often against you as a centre forward. A ball's gone up to him there, and Marianucci, a big guy, veteran centre back. Actually, I don't know if he's a veteran or not, but he should win that header, and he gives him. Is he only 20?
Yeah, he's 20.
Yeah, gives himself that bit of leverage, and he's like, "I'm gonna have to make something out of this." And then when the ball's gone, he has a little kick out at him. I think he literally kicks him in the bollocks.
It looks like it just grazed him. Like it wasn't a big contact, but it's still like a kick out's a kick out. You can't do that, and that's how you know that you're just in someone's head, right? Like the hand on the neck's gonna piss off anyone in any situation, but then you kick him back, and you're like, okay, you deserve it. So I thought, ironically, for all the hate that I'm giving this ref, I thought he did a good job there by giving Santiago the yellow card and still sending off Marianucci because
I think that it was,
Yeah,
I also think it was a little bit of retribution for the calls that he made earlier in the game.
I agree.
Definitely. He gave him a decision to make, right? So, like, if you're the Empoli manager, De Versa, you're probably pissed off because you finally got the game where you want it, and you can really have a pop at us with 10 men and try to record a pretty big win. It would have been their first league win at home over us. And then a few minutes later, a player makes a mistake like that and it kind of re-jeopardizes the game. And honestly, going 10v10 probably helped us out quite a lot because spaces opened up that weren't there before. And we were able to work the balls to the wings easier. We scored a goal with the spare man at the back post for the first one. Brilliant cross from Pulisic. It needs to be said that that was an absolutely gorgeous ball. Hung it up to the area where he knew two runners were arriving. And I've seen an angle of it because there's this guy on YouTube who does home and away games, like vlogs them. I've seen his angle of it from behind the goal. And it's not like as easy a header from Leao as it looks. He's got quite a narrow window at the far post to squeeze it in. And he doesn't score many headed goals. So
that was only his third or fourth.
Yeah, I think he scored 2 against Lecce, weirdly. And then I think this was his 4th
in different
one.
games, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then, it was a nice header, and that was good. And I felt a lot more calm about the situation then. And then we got the second one from Santi. And my God, that's what we've been missing.
Yeah, and that whole play was perfect. That was Mignon deep, going for that Mignon assist that he gets once a season. Lands right at Santi, who bounces it immediately to Pulisic, runs a little bit. It looks like Pulisic's about to get just fucking rammed by whichever defense. It might have been DeCilio. I don't know who's left, or Golgochitze or whomever. But he almost gets hit, and he just lays it off perfectly. Santi gets it. And guys, how long has it been since we've wanted a striker to take a clean shot with their foot?
Yeah.
The best striker we've had in
like maybe 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long fucking time. He just cut in and knew exactly when to take it. Perfect curler. And Santi's arrived, man. Here's
the thing. It wasn't like a world class, or it was, but it wasn't like a world beater or like anything fancy. It was just a striker's finish. that we
Exactly.
haven't had for a very long time.
It wasn't a
You know.
90-yard screamer. It wasn't anything like insane, like you're saying, but
90-yard across the field.
yeah, exactly. That'd be the craziest goal ever. But it was just like you said, a striker's finish, something we haven't had in forever. A guy in the box, not quite to the penalty spot yet, just takes it on his. I don't know if Santi's a left or right footed, but he takes it on.
Oh,
his
he's
left
very left-footed.
Well,
He's
he
very
was. Yeah, he
left-footed.
definitely was against Empoli.
Yeah, no, he is left-footed, and I think it
perfectly.
looks better. I think it looks better on a left footer because people have been comparing the goal that Santi scored with the Morata chance from earlier in the season. Similar one where he cuts back onto his left, having dropped the defender. All you got to do is guide it far corner. He puts it way over and wide. But one thing I will say in Morata's favour is he's right-footed. But the chance is almost identical, and obviously Santi buries it. And yeah, it was a lovely, lovely goal.
Yeah.
Been crying out for something like that. The confidence to take it on, and just composure, just knowing your surroundings and knowing what it's like. It's a transactional thing, as a striker. You've got the ball, point A, you've got to get it point B, which is the back of the net. And I think he's going to be a guy who shoots on sight quite a lot. And, I don't think we're going to see him overthink it too much. And that was a really, really nice example of what he's all about as the first goal. So long may that continue. And then we saw out the game pretty easily. I mean, Joao Felix misses one. He tried a similar sort of thing, but it was a bit closer quarters. He didn't have as much time to get the ball up and over the keeper, but I think he would have liked to have done better with that. And I thought that Felix, in fact, let's do tops and flops.
Well, I want to talk about the game a little bit.
No, go on then.
Still. Yeah. It was nice to see Joao come back in after long injury, being displaced from the starting 11, obviously.
Yeah.
I thought he looked good. Nothing spectacular, nothing great, but also I don't think Empoli created a chance after he came on.
They didn't have a shot on target.
Yeah, exactly. So because it went Tomori red, Marinucci red, Leao goal, Chow on, and then Jimenez goal, obviously. So it was nice that we took the lead. Okay, bring on the defender. Let's lock this down. Okay, we're still getting another goal. Great. Still locking down. Okay, Felix is in for the third. Obviously misses. It is what it is. He almost got a full 90, played 84 minutes. I thought it was interesting that he was the only deadline day signing to start this game. And honestly, I thought he did very well. He got a yellow card, which is par for the course from him. He also has more yellows than assists in his career, but at least he has a few assists. So there's that. Yeah. But I thought he looked good again. Another exciting performance from him, and hopefully he continues that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him, Santi, Leao, and Pulisic all start together.
Yeah.
But
the Fab Four, as they're calling it. That's the temptation. That's the temptation at the moment. That's the big one because we're basically in an amusement park, aren't we? And we just want the fun thing. We want the let's do it, let's go for it. But I think that you're sort of playing all your cards at once if you do that, and that's why I don't think we're going to see it too much. But then who you leave out is a whole separate thing because you could argue all four of them very much warrant a start at the moment. And I think that, we'll come on to the Feyenoord game in a sec, but I think that we have to start the four of them in that game because of the problems that we have in midfield. So if we get a look at it from minute one then, we'll see how it goes. But on to tops and flops, I was actually going to pick Joao Felix as my top. And I thought that it might be quite a controversial one because people were saying that, he was quite wasteful. I did a bit of a stats piece on him. And he had 53 touches in 84 minutes. 20 out of 26 passes completed, so 77%. Only one of his 5 shots was on target. Now, I don't remember the other shots, I'm not going to lie.
There was a header that skimmed over the bar, I think.
Yeah. He missed 2 big chances, one of which will have been the one-on-one run. He won 9 ground duels, but he lost possession 17 times, which is quite high, obviously. But all of that, and I still loved what I saw because it's so clear with him that we finally have a player in the attacking third who wants the ball anywhere and everywhere at all times. Leao tends to hug the touchline. He can drift in and out of games. Pulisic, he's very much an end product driven guy. You know, I don't think he's going to blow anyone away with his open play stuff. Please don't hate me for that, but you know, we've seen.
No, you're absolutely right.
We've seen it. He pops up when it's important. That's what strikers. Morata drops too deep. Tammy Abraham in and out of games. All that. Felix is just like he shuttles between one corner of the box and the other, and wherever the play's happening, he's like, "Give me it. I'll bring you in, and you know, I'll make a run then." And he just seems like such a smart player, and at times like a really efficient player. He doesn't try to do too much, and yet he makes things happen. He can be the one who unlocks a closed up defense, and I think he's going to be really important in that sense. I just love that he's rocked up and he's playing with so much confidence. Basically, I just like that he's trying to get so involved straight away. He's not hiding, and I think he's I think he's been brilliant.
I
thought he was good. I thought he was a little wasteful, but also like he's gotten he didn't start in the last game, but he's probably played more minutes in the last 2 games than he has in the last like 6 months. So also he has a manager who wants him here. Mm-hmm. They both speak the same language. That's going to help. He has Leao. I feel like he has a team around him that wants him here and that will like coach him to do what they want him to do instead of being at Chelsea, where it's just like a factory of if you click, you click. If not, then you're out. Even if you click, you're out, you know? So I think that all that wastefulness that we see is going to start to diminish over time. And the thing is, like, as a center attacking mid or center forward, there's going to be a lot of waste, but it's when it matters, can you get it done? You know, so that will be time to see. Or time to tell.
I'd rather him get in the positions to waste stuff as well, rather than have someone like a Morata or at times Tammy who doesn't even get chances to waste. You know,
absolutely.
It's like the Darwin Núñez thing, innit? You know, he misses an awful lot of chances, but the chance creation volume is something that you can't ignore. You know, he makes things happen when he's in and
That's
around.
That's how Osimhen was. He had the most big chances missed in Europe last season, but he also had like 30 fucking goals, you know? So,
yeah, big positioning fan.
Merchant. Yeah.
Merchant.
But, you know, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So
well said. Very positive signs there. So that's my top.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with what you. He's not my top, but I am going to just to build on Joao Felix. I agree with everything you said except for one point. And I forgot your wording already because we continued, so I apologize. But he was dispossessed 17 times, so I think he was doing too much. That's what it was. You said you don't think he does too much. I think he was. If I just went on this big rant about Alex Jimenez and how wasteful he was and selfish he is, I have to give the same criticism to Joao because he was dispossessed 17 times, which means, you know, not always that you're doing too much, but a lot of times he's trying to dribble around people he's just not getting around. And I don't know if there were options for him to pass in all those, but I can't believe that there was never an option, you know? So, yeah, I think he, more than Santi, is really eager to score those goals. Whereas you saw Santi come on in his debut and get the assist instead of saying, oh, the guy I just came here to replace scored a brace in the first half. I better get on the score sheet and one up him and make sure I have that spot. He said, no, we want to win this game. I have an opportunity to pass from getting assist. Let me do that.
Yeah.
Whereas Joao's thinking, I got to go in the first game. I got to keep this spot because he's never been a set in stone starter anywhere. So that is more of his mentality of, I have to earn this. I got to get on the score sheet no matter what. So I think he is doing a bit too much. But as he settles into this team and realizes he does have a role here, he's going to become more selfless, and that's a good thing. So overall, no issues with him, but I do want to point that out. My top is going to be Pulisic. He was my flop for the Roma game. He's my top for this one. He comes on, incredible cross for that assist to Leao, and then obviously an even more difficult pass to make under pressure, I think, for the Santi assist. So he gets it for me.
I am going to choose the person that I criticize their national team every chance I get in Santiago, because we've wanted a striker to score a finish like that forever, and he finally did. And if I didn't pick him, I feel like I would regret it, even though I won't remember in 3 hours. So
it's the North American Brotherhood.
It's It's nice to see. It's a nice change of pace that we all three have different tops for a
Yeah.
game. Rarely does that
Yeah,
happen.
I'd like them to call me a typical American for that one.
Well, you could call me one.
Bring it, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the flops,
Someone's in trouble.
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably me. Yeah, flop. Again, kind of difficult.
Can we pick the ref?
I mean, look, the ref. Obviously, I guess Tamori for making a daft challenge, but then we've just kind of backed up his corner, by saying that it was a refereeing error. So that feels a little bit.
He
more
still made the tackle,
difficult.
and the tackle he didn't make the tackle because he was offside. He made the tackle to stop.
I'll say Tammy because picked him as the man of the match for the previous game, and then you sort of hoping for a follow-up performance to really try and stake a claim and be like, I can start here too, and it just didn't come. He really struggled to get into it. It's between him or Jimenez, Alex Jimenez, and I'll go Tammy.
I'm picking Alex Jimenez. It'd be funny if I picked Tammy and then it's just a total 180 from what I picked in the Roma game, but I'm going Jimenez.
I'm as well.
Right, let's move on. We got Feyenoord in the Champions League playoff round. First leg away from home at De Kuip in Rotterdam. I have been to Rotterdam, actually. It's quite an interesting place, and I would have liked to have gone to this game if it wasn't such short notice. You've got the draw, and then in 2 weeks, you've got to go and play there.
Do you think Lorenzo's ever been to Rotterdam?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's never been in the Netherlands.
Who? Lorenzo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorenzo.
Oh, absolutely not.
No,
I don't think he's ever left the island of the UK, has he?
The island of the UK, yeah.
The island of the UK. That's
the British Isles. He's never left.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's an inside joke.
Yeah, basically he went to university at a very prestigious unit in the Netherlands, and he never lets us forget it.
Yeah, it was in Rotterdam, wasn't it?
I actually didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, he never
Excel.
stops.
I can't remember what it's called.
Good for you.
Doesn't matter.
Smarty pants.
Does not matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's not real. It's not real. It's not Ivy League. It's not Russell Group. So this is going to be a red hot atmosphere because it's one of the notoriously the hardest places to go and play as an away game in Europe. The fans are right on top of you. It's a very intimate stadium, and they've got the added motivation of, oh look here, it's the team that took our best player in the January window. I guess Ty in general, we're happy that we got these over Juve, right?
Yes.
Definitely.
But this is a team that in the their final home game, the penultimate game of the league phase, beat Bayern Munich, and they beat them pretty comfortably. They then went and got absolutely smashed by Lille.
Who scored those goals against Bayern Munich?
Santi. I belong to...
goal. Yeah, so they don't have him anymore, and they haven't won a game since. Makes you
I think they lost to Ajax this weekend, right?
Yeah, they got cooked. They also have 6 players injured right now. I'm not going to pretend like I know if any of them are key players or starters, but that is a long injury list. We have a Musa suspension, and then our injuries. I don't think anyone really cares. Loftus-Cheek, Emerson, and Florenzi. It's all good. Yeah, I mean,
well, the problem is we don't have another midfielder. That's the issue, because with no Musa, no Loftus-Cheek, we haven't named Bondo in the squad because of the regulations. It's Fofana, Reinders, and that's it.
Pulisic can play in the midfield.
Ooh, I'd rather he didn't.
Felix.
Or there are options, right? But they're not great options. But there's options.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the
good news is we only play with 2 midfielders anyways. So as long as they're having a game that they're capable of, they're both good midfielders. Obviously, they've played like 900 games this season already, so maybe a break would be nice, but they're not getting it. And I don't think that they're going to complain about that either. Your job's to play football. Play. So I don't have any issue with it. It is what it is.
Until one of them rags their hamstring out.
Yeah, until they get injured or suspended again, and then I could complain. But yeah, for now, do your job.
I think this is going to be a really interesting tie because I don't think Feyenoord have a setting other than all-out attack either. I think it's maybe symptomatic of Eredivisie teams. It's kind of like the Bundesliga in the sense that you get a lot of games that are 4-2 and stuff like that. That being said, at the weekend, they did win their derby against Sparta Rotterdam 3-0. But it's Sparta Rotterdam, so it's, it's whatever. But in the league table, they're not doing too well this season. Obviously, they won the league title season before last under Arne Slot when Jimenez was there. This season, they're 5th in the league after 21 games played. And they are 12 points off the league leaders, Ajax, who are level on points with PSV at the top of the table. You've got Utrecht and AZ Alkmaar, who were above them. So it's not gone too well under the new head coach, Brian Priske, who replaced Arne Slot, who went to Liverpool. Obviously, that was a big loss for them. They've now lost their best player in Jimenez to us, which is a bit of a blow. I think for Feyenoord, it's probably a case of they're just happy to be here at this stage. But I still think that they'll give it a go against us. And I think, I think we'll definitely concede in this leg. I think they'll definitely get at least one goal against us. But I also think this is the kind of game where, because they're at home first, we've got the second leg at San Siro, they kind of have to make a statement. They have to try and get the goals and get in a good position in this leg, leave space in the counter. We're probably going to have to play that front four because of the lack of midfield options. So it'll be Fofana, Reinders, and then Pulisic, Jimenez, Felix, and Leao across the front four. That should cause any team damage, let alone a team that's really struggling defensively this season. So I'm optimistic on that front. All that to say, I don't see us actually winning. I think we draw 2-2.
I think you're crazy. We're going to win. I think it'll be 3-0. I think Santi's going to be eager to get that goal against his old club. We're going to see the Fantastic Four from the start for the first time. They're all going to look for it. Oh, and you know what? I don't know if they're on the list, but I think Jimenez and Terracciano are on the list as well, right?
What's
Alex
that
Jimenez?
for? Jimenez, no.
Champions League. Oh, Alex
not
Jimenez
named Alex Jimenez.
Oh, okay. But Terracciano is, right?
Yeah, Terracciano
so
is.
He'll be the midfielder off the bench. Not that I want that or anything. In fact, I hate that. I wish the others would play a full 90, but we do have one sub. I think we'll be fine. Honestly, I don't see any issues here. I think the atmosphere is nothing that's going to scare Milan players. I mean, they're used to.
Well, it scared them in Zagreb somehow, despite the fact it was a half-full stadium. That's what worries me. My last memory of us in the Champions League is us absolutely fucking it up against the shit team.
I mean, that happens often, but I think that this team is starting to click and play the way that Conceição wants.
The difference, though, that Zagreb lineup, we had Musa as the winger, we had Pulisic playing down the middle, and Morata up top with Gabia over. Oh, well, Tomori was playing right back. We didn't have Kyle Walker. So, look, it should still have been enough to beat Zagreb. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it wasn't, but
silly red card as well. You've got to hope that doesn't happen, and that's why Musa's not playing. By the way, everyone. So normally, we in the return, we will have another midfielder. It'll be Musa and probably RLC too. But and people are saying, why didn't you name Bondo over RLC in the squad list? You can only name maximum of 3 new signings. That's why we're kind of stuck with what we've got on that front. Feyenoord's results in the UCL this season, mental. I'll read through them in order. 4-0 loss at home to Bayer Leverkusen to start. 3-2 win away at Girona. 3-1 win away at Benfica. 3-1 loss at home to Red Bull Salzburg. 3-3 draw away at Man City after being 3-0 down. 4-2 win at home to Sparta Prague. 3-0 win at home to Bayern. 6-1 loss away at Lille. They are box office one way or another. There's goals. There's going to be goals.
So we stole their goal scorer.
Yes, we did.
Stole. Purchase.
Is he going to score? Let's. He's going to score, isn't he?
I think so.
He better.
Just out of curiosity, how many Champions League goals did Santi have? I'm just pulling it up right
5.
now.
I think he's on 5 to this point.
Yeah, 5. And only one of them was a penalty. So
2 of them against Bayern.
Yeah, that's where
that was
penalty
a pen.
came. Yeah.
Lovely goal for the first one as well.
That's impressive. I didn't realize he was on. Wow. Dude, we got a gem. Santi's a killer. I love him.
I'm so happy we've got him because Pietro Mazzara put out a report earlier for Milan News where he said that the feeling within the Milan management was that we need to get him now for this price because by the summer he'll cost 20 million more. And I think that we could be looking at a striker who's worth 50. If he keeps, keeps going, keeps this good start going, we've seen plenty start hot and not do so well after that, like Piontek and stuff. But if he keeps going like this, we're going to have a striker that's.
Did you guys see this? Kind of off topic. After the Empoli game, they were some radio station or some media, I don't remember who, interviewed Pulisic and Santi together, and they asked the question in Italian, and Pulisic responds perfect Italian, and you just see Santi looking at him like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." And then they ask it to Santi, and Santi goes, "In English, huh?"
He's very good.
Give me a minute, okay? It was really funny. Cracked me up.
It's very good.
It's nice
His look,
they're friendly.
His look over to Pulisic was almost like, "You little rat, you sold me out there." As if like he was expecting him to also reply in English, like, "I'm going up with my buddy Christian. We're going to be able to chat in our not even native tongue for him, is it? But still, that was a funny clip. I've liked some of the stuff. I like the ESPN Mexico clip as well of the commentator going mental when the goal goes in. I quite like that. And I was going to look at Feyenoord's starting 11 to see who they've replaced him and they've replaced him with another Mexican. Is that right?
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget his name. Stefano Carrillo.
Right.
Santos.
So I'm just looking at the lineup that they played against Sparta Rotterdam at the weekend in the derby. They played some guy called Carranza up front who appears to be Argentine. Pak Xiao on the wing and Haj Musa on the wing. Quinton Timber, Huang and Moda as the midfielders. Hartman. David Hanko is probably then now their best player. He was expected to move to Juve in January, but didn't. I think they could only really sanction the sale of one star, and he's going to move on in the summer. He's quite impressive. If I remember rightly, we've actually played against him before. When he was playing for against Hanko, yeah. I just want to verify that, but I think he's definitely the one who marshals the back line. So I think a lot of the result will be.
Yeah, we've definitely played against him.
Sparta Prague.
Fiorentina before that.
Yeah. I remember him in the Sparta Prague preview picking him out as like their best defender, so it makes sense where he is there. And I think a lot of the result depends on how well he holds them together against that front four. So yeah, mine's 2-2. You said that. Maddie, what's your prediction? What did you say?
2-0.
I'm going 3-0.
It'd be nice to have the tie in a good place heading back to San Siro and not have to worry about a fucking comeback or anything like that, So that has to be the main mission. I'd even maybe take the draw just because it's like at home. We should be fine. Let's move on. Verona.
Yeah. Maddie, how
Verona doing?
To drop before we get to this?
Yeah, I'm going to dip out. I got a meeting in 5 minutes. So
yeah. All right.
All right, boys. We're going to beat Verona 3-0. So
love it.
Nice. Couple of clean sheets.
Yeah.
Love it. All
right.
See you,
boys.
Later.
Verona are currently 15th in the table with 23 points. We really had to fight hard to beat them earlier in the season. It was the game. Was it the game before Christmas? I think it was. We won 1-0 and Reinders scored the winner.
Yes.
So that would have been Fonseca's penultimate game. But yeah, they're struggling. They got beaten 5-0 by Atalanta in the last round of games.
Friday or Saturday?
Friday, yeah. Saturday. Retegui absolutely ran a train on them. The game before that, though, they beat Monza 1-0 away from home, and it's like they're just doing enough to keep out of the relegation zone, which is frustrating because I wouldn't mind them fucking off to Serie B, them and their horrendous racist fan base. But they are currently 3 points above the bottom three. They have they've scored 26 goals this season in 24 games, but let in 53. It's the worst defensive record in the country by a mile. They've got a negative 27 goal difference, which is, again, the worst by quite some distance. So we're going to get chances in this one, I would say.
Yeah, it's funny that the last 3 games we reviewed, we've gone into it with 1 suspension and then the 3 injuries we've already talked about. Same situation again today, except with Vakayo, obviously. So it'll be Chow. You might even see Gabia. Maybe we just rotate the back line altogether. I kind of hope not. I think you just get as many points as you can and just don't tweak anything. There's going to be some changes because we're playing every 3 to 4 days right now in the Champions League. So wouldn't expect the full power starting 11. Maybe you see Tammy up top again. But overall, I think we're still going to go pretty hard. Liao might rest if his ankle is still hurt. We don't know how he's going to look against Feyenoord. Obviously, carrying that injury in, and Pulisic as well. His injury, I don't remember what it is, but they said he wasn't 100%.
Fatigue. It was just fatigue, I think, which is understandable, really. I mean, they've had to work overtime. And one thing I will say is that, we're playing Saturday, Wednesday in this case, so you've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all as full days off to recover. So I think that's helpful. Then when you go Wednesday to Saturday, you've obviously got a day less. So a lot will depend on basically how things go in the Feyenoord game, I would imagine, if we're able to manage minutes at all. I can't imagine so. I think we're going to have to be full strength team out there until the end.
The good
Bondo
news is,
might make his debut.
I was going to say that. Bondo might make a debut. And we've beaten them 8 consecutive times, and we haven't lost in our last 12 against them. So the bad news, winning streaks always come to an end. So
they do. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not this weekend, because I would love to continue our winning ways and keep potentially moving up the table. I think this week there are some big fixtures around that might help us, correct?
There are,
Lazio,
don't ask me
Napoli
to name them.
is the main one. Bologna, Torino could be an interesting game, and Juventus, Inter.
I suppose we need to keep an eye on Inter Fiorentina tonight as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
with them not getting fucking run over like they did last time.
We could be looking at, potentially. Wow, we could potentially be in 5th place after this weekend and the game in hand.
That would be nice.
That would be real
nice.
That
would be nice. And they lost Belayani, didn't they? The Verona had the midfielder that we were linked with basically all throughout January, Reda Belayani, and I believe he's left.
I know Livermento's injured. They actually have a big injury list as well, and a suspension. Gilardi.
Good.
Good. I don't know their depart. Excuse me. Yeah.
Stats by competition, goals and assists. So Kasper Tengstedt is their main attacking threat. He has 7 goals, 1 assist across all comps. Daniel Mosquera. Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Good.
he is. Yeah.
Then you got Daniel Mosquera on 4 goals, 1 assist. Jackson Chatchois on 2 goals, 2 assists. Kind of a spread attacking threat, really. You've got a load of players there on 2 goal contributions.
Yeah. They got Harui out for the season with the ACL injury. Speedy recovery to him. That sucks. Daniele Gilardi suspended. Casper obviously injured, so still late February. So maybe he comes back early, maybe he doesn't. Livermento also late February, same situation. Martin Fraze mid March, and then Suat Serdar early March. So
some interesting names in there, like nice names. Head coach Paolo Zanetti still, of course, who was at Venezia and then Empoli before that. I think we win this, and I think it's a clean sheet. I believe we win this one 2-0.
Did I say 3-0 for Feyenoord? Yeah, let's have some fun with it, guys. I'm feeling myself. Let's go 5-0. Big boy win.
5-0. 8-0 on Ag over the next 2 games. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I heard it here.
I wonder if anybody had that mental, because Liverpool got beaten by Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup, and Rangers in the Scottish Cup lost at home to Queen's Park, who were also from Glasgow, but maybe the 5th biggest team in Glasgow, and they lost at home to them. So I wonder if anyone had a double on for that. That's why I want to know. That would be obscene odds.
By the way, I forgot to complain about this when we started the podcast, and Madison made the Taylor Swift joke. I had a 9-leg parlay for the Super Bowl last night, and I only missed it by 1 leg, and it was it was the one that I thought was the biggest lock. It was both teams to score in the first half. That's it. And then the Chiefs just all-time stinker. Yeah, could have won like $3,000.
40-0 at one point or something.
It was 40-7 or 40-6. Yeah,
crazy though. Very, very one-sided, and I thought if it was one-sided, it'd be the other way.
Yeah.
I was going to say I wanted to mention something just briefly here as a talking point. If you could quickly
Oh,
flick it
yes,
onto
I'm sorry.
just so I know for timestamps.
That I won't be posting.
Yeah, Futuro in a bit of a mess. Nothing's really changed there, but won the game before last to kind of ease the relegation fears a little bit. I think it was against Spal actually, and then they lost a relegation 6-pointer at the weekend against Lucchese, and now Daniele Bonera is apparently on the verge of being sacked. He hasn't actually been sacked yet, so whether they're holding off on that decision or they're going to give him one more game, it feels like he's one bad game away basically, and they tried to get Alberto, can't remember his name,
Del Rio.
Bolidi. What is it? I sent it to Doomy earlier for a graphic,
Yeah, I
so
have
I'll
no
just
idea.
quickly look in there. We wanted Alberto Bolini to take his place as the head coach, who is the current Italy under-19 manager. He's done well with them, and he did well with Lazio's Primavera side before that. But there's a few reports now saying that the federation won't let him go and that he's not willing to force his way out. So could be Federico Guidi promoted from the Primavera. I know not everybody knows the ins and outs of what's gone on with the Futuro because it's hard enough to follow the first team. But do you think it's time for a change?
Yeah.
Fuck it, chaos. Always vote for the mystery box. You've always got to vote for the mystery box, right?
Listen, I've never voted for an incumbent in my life. I'm not doing it for the Futuro. So
that is sensational. I don't know about the idea of promoting Guidi, to be honest. Like, I know he's got experience managing at Serie C level, but he's doing a good job with the Primavera. They beat Juve 3-0 at the weekend. They're heading for the Scudetto playoffs, so that's good. And I don't know about disrupting that right now, but the Futuro cannot get relegated. It's a 12 million investment, and if they go down,
they can, and it's very real.
They can, and they will. So we'll see. I think they might actually just hire an interim. But
the good news, and actually this is horrible news for Italian football in general, but the good news is if they do get relegated, they can just buy their spot back because good chance another Serie G team gets liquidated. So
yeah, that is true. I don't want it to come to that, and also I think the chances of us getting outright relegated are pretty slim still at the moment. It would be the relegation playoff thing, but also like straight up survival is quite far away too. So I'm almost going to say no matter what, we're nestled into the relegation playoffs, and then we have to see how it goes from there. But it's not.
What's like that table looking like?
We're third bottom. Probably picked Bonera thinking this is our guy for a few years. He should know some of those youth players inside and out from being part of the coaching staff for so long. And it just hasn't happened. They've given him a hand with some January signings, and to lose a game like the one that they did at the weekend and quite convincingly without scoring again, I think they're just like panicking, a bit like with Fonseca in the first team. It's a results business, and we've given you some help here, so it needs to turn around pretty quick.
Yeah.
If
Abate's sacking from Ternana upheld, do you think we would have just crawled back to him? So Daddy,
what's a U-turn on the U-turn?
Yeah,
that's what we need. Quite funny that's happened to him twice now. Bit of nepotism.
And Nesta's back at
yeah. Italian football is mad. It really hasn't moved on, has it, at all?
It's just 10 guys.
It's just the same blokes rotating around, and then every now and again you'll have a club who reappoints a manager for the third time in a season and all that, like Genoa used to do. Shall I have a couple of questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right then. JT Physio, who's your favourite young Milan player, and why is it Alex Jimenez? Well, it's not yours, is it? It's not yours.
What are the chances of that? That's funny, huh?
My favourite young Milan player. I guess for this, you've got to say somebody who's like 19 and under, right?
Camarda,
yeah. Probably.
Yeah, easy one for me. It's the only other name I can think of. I do really like Zaroli, but he's no longer a Milan player this season. He's on loan though, right?
Yeah, just a dry loan as well. I like Bartazagi, and I feel like he's been a little bit unfortunate with some of the stuff that's happened. I remember that red card that he got when he came off the bench.
Yeah, that
but
was rough.
he played a part in that comeback against Parma. He looked a lot better on the left than what Teo had. But yeah, Torriani as well. I think there's definitely
Torriani's
a
good.
bright goalkeeper in there.
I
Very,
saw
very good
him
for his fee.
win a penalty shootout against Barcelona this summer. So
Fact. Curver Spud asks, where would we be in the table if we had our current squad at the beginning of the season? So if we'd done the January signings in the summer. Numero uno.
top of the table, undefeated.
Wow.
This is
Is the implication
everyone
that the
I wanted over
coach-
the summer is what we have now. So how could I not back it?
Have we got to have the 24 games of Fonseca, or are we having Conceição as well?
For me, Conceição as well. He's a part of the squad.
Yeah. I think we are third in the table, which I know sounds negative, but I still think Inter are better. And I think this Napoli fucked up against Udinese last night, which was a joke. But this Napoli team they're at a pretty good pace. That's quite hard to match. But who knows? Maybe first. Maybe. Yeah. They need to kind of iron that out. Conte's done that thing again, anyway. He's deflected and said, "What we're doing with this group is extraordinary." Yeah. Brought him on and then said that he's not in good condition. You brought him on. Yeah. You signed the guy.
I did see a lot of hate for him on Twitter. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how he did, but a lot of people were going in on Okafor that were Napoli fans, so he must have done something wrong.
I love it if he only got like 2 minutes.
He did, I think. Nintendo
Nino asks, how likely do you think it is we'll buy Joao Felix if he does well, with Mendes being his agent? Could we get creative with it? We kind of spoke about this on the bonus a little bit, about the things that you could sort of do to make it happen. But all of the signs that have come out since, it must be said, are that he sees his future here beyond this season, which I think is an important starting point. I'm still worried.
According to Calcio Mercato, we're trading Leao plus cash for Joao Felix already. So,
that's bollocks. That was just
total bullshit.
Forward.
Yeah. We would never send Leao and money for a player. Let me just make that clear.
No.
Like the only way that's happening is if we're getting Mbappe and Haaland at the same time. Like it just doesn't work that way. So, but I do see him becoming permanent if he continues well here. It's a guy that Conceição asked for directly. He openly said he asked for. It's a player that it's the only one that started, out of the deadline day boys. So, and it's a player that we've been linked with a few times who seemingly fits our system well. I think it'll happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think it will.
I'd like to hope so. I do think it's going to be difficult because there's a few things that you've got to add up. And also, like when you don't agree something ahead of time, you're sort of hoping he doesn't explode. But then, in terms of form, but then if he doesn't, then are you as eager to keep him? So there's that to factor in. But I hope something can happen. If he really does want to be here, then that's definitely the right basis for the negotiation. It's just the salary and it's the formula and things like that. But if we can't do something like that with Chelsea, then we might as well just give up, because obviously good terms between the two clubs and
he's surplus to requirements there. They have so many players in the position that helps us.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up there. Nearly an hour and a half.
It's a trend with these 4-game episodes.
It is, yeah. I hope people like the longer format. I say longer format, it's like an extra half an hour, but enjoy it, people.
And if my predictions are correct for the next 2 games, next episode's 2 hours. As many goals as I want, so.
You'll have your own betting portion of the show.
Yeah, don't back it. I don't win a lot.
Show us your slips. Put your slips on your mouth.
I think, for 2025, I've only had that Super Bowl bet, so I'm down $25. But for 2024, I was up quite a bit, actually. So happy with that.
You know what?
Granted, baseball season's the only time I win. I never win on soccer.
You do like next pitch strikes and stuff
every time.
Like that.
Just 50. But, hey, there was a week straight where every single night I made like $800. Just
that's very good.
Next pitch is going to be faster than 85 miles an hour. It's going to be slower than 90. Like just hitting them. It was good times. Yeah.
Bet responsibly, everybody.
Yep. And I didn't watch a single game. Quite literally just coin flip every time.
That's why it becomes like casino, innit?
Mhm.
Like you're not actually
Where I
even
thrive.
attached to the sport. It's numbers and data and stuff.
Yeah.
Bit of money ball
Postseason,
betting.
you can't even do it because the teams are too good. You know, you
Mm.
don't get guys that are pitching slower than 80 miles an hour in the postseason.
No, yeah, that's
So.
probably that's true. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll be back later in the week for a bonus ep, and back early next week for another 4-game special on the games front. But in the meantime, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Anthony_45_.
And we will see you next week. Have a good one, everyone.